Hi, hello, I defeated the 7-star Blaziken with one of the worst Pokemon introduced in all of Scarlet and Violet, stat-wise, or just in general, which is Squawkabilly. This is just going to be a fun video with the goal of showing you how most Pokemon can do okay in a variety of 7-star raids if you understand the mechanics of Pokemon. I'm going to be using the 7-star Blaziken for example, but this video isn't about Blaziken, it's more so just the mechanics that happen in raids. Squawkabilly has just a dog water base stat total of 417. To put this in comparison, Miraidon has a base stat total of 670, Thundurus 580, and Archaludon is part of the 600 club when it comes to base stat totals. Now, Pokemon with lower base stat totals can make up for this with both abilities and moves. Bellibolt is a great example of a Pokemon with a lower base stat total. Bellibolt is 495, but it has a really good ability, Electromorphosis. On top of that, Bellibolt has one of the most amazing move pools in the entire game. Some of those moves consist of Acid Spray, Chilling Water, Reflect, and it has one of the best raid moves in the entire game, which is Parabolic Charge. Only 3 Pokemon get this move, Bellibolt, Miraidon, and Edina. Squawkabilly gets a whole lot of nothing move-wise. It's mixed between both a pretty limited physical move pool, which suits it much better, and a very lackluster special move pool, so our bird is looking a little bleak. But we can take advantage of a couple things. The first is Squawkabilly has one of the best abilities, not only for raids, but also for VGC battles, which is Intimidate. We'll come back to that in a little bit. Squawkabilly also gets Parting Shot, which is a good move for both raids and VGC. It's a move that will lower both the attack and the special attack when it's used. The downside here with Parting Shot is it doesn't work when the raid shield is up, like all status type moves. Squawkabilly also gets access to Taunt, which in the case of Blaziken will stop that early Swords Dance that Blaziken likes to do. So why are we talking about Squawkabilly if it's generally regarded as a bad Pokemon? Well, after I've made dozens and dozens of raid builds over the past year, I get the question each raid, does this Pokemon work? My answer is pretty simple. A lot of Pokemon can work if you and your team just understand the mechanics of Pokemon. I made a video, here are 6 Pokemon, and then the comments on that video are, well, what about this? What about that? What about this one? And one of my goals with my videos is that if you watch it from start to finish, piece together the things that I bring up, apply that to the Pokemon you want to use. For example, Chilling Water or Breaking Swipe can control the attack, or Reflect is really important for physical attackers, or if I set Rain, I will never miss a Thunder. Ideally, when I am making these raid videos, I'm trying to give you, the viewer, multiple scenarios of different strategies that can work for that Pokemon, but can also then benefit the entire team. So if Squawkabilly can survive and be helpful in a raid, then your Pokemon can probably be helpful in a raid too, but most of the time it's usually not the Pokemon's fault, it's usually the player's fault. So last night I did over 30 Blaziken raids with a variety of players. I tell them they can bring whatever they want as long as it's level 100 and as long as it doesn't have an obvious weakness. But during those 30-some raids, I watched 5 different players try to Metal Sound when the shield was up. I watched somebody use Charge on Miraidon and then proceeded to use Mirror Coat, which there's a lot to unpack on why that doesn't work, but we don't have to go into that. I also watched another Miraidon use Power Gem instead of using literally any electric attack that would not only be boosted by Miraidon being an electric type Pokemon, but it would also be boosted an extra 30% because you were on electric terrain. So very confused why their choice was Power Gem on turn 2 of the raid. And then finally, we are 13 months into Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and I saw 4 players not even have held items on their Miraidon. So that's why I go back to a lot of Pokemon can work in raids if you know what you're doing. And, ideally, if your team knows what they're doing. But on the plus side, though, I really enjoy making raid builds. I enjoy helping people complete raids. So even if you do not fully understand how to build a Pokemon or how to pilot a Pokemon, or even if you don't understand the deeper mechanics that are in Pokemon, my goal with my videos is just to help a tiny bit. like informing you that Taunt doesn't work when the raid shield is up. Nor does Metal Sound, nor does Thunder Wave, nor does any status type condition it's been 13 months. Once the raid shield goes up, you cannot use those moves. But let's go back to Squawkabilly. Squawkabilly gets a unique move that only 8 Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet get, which is Mimic. So my strategy with building Squawkabilly was simple. We'll intimidate Blaziken, we'll taunt to prevent the Swords Dance, then we'll use Mimic to copy somebody using Parabolic Charge, and then we'll be able to do super effective damage against Blaziken, but also we will get our health back so we don't faint and disappoint the team. This is where we talk about Intimidate. Intimidate is the main reason a lot of players are able to solo 7-star raids. It's such a powerful ability in general. So when 1 to 2 NPCs in a 7-star raid faint, every time they come back in, they will intimidate over and over and over again. This is huge on physical Pokemon like Blaziken, Cinderace, Rillaboom, and it leads to those players having success. Without it, I do think a lot of solo players would end up being stuck. Intimidate is so powerful that it ends up being more helpful than real players who can't even bother to put on a held item for their Pokemon during these 7-star raids. So how did Squawkabilly do in our raid? I would say okay. But why did it do okay? Well, it does a couple things that supports the entire team. First, Intimidate helps everyone set up a bit easier. Going back to what I just said, Intimidate is a very powerful ability. Second, we can use Taunt to stop the Swords Dance, which again helps the entire team. And I would love to say that using Mimic to copy Parabolic Charge was incredible, but it was a little lackluster due to Squawkabilly's shameful special attack. Although, I will say, we didn't faint at all, which in itself is a good way for Squawkabilly to support the team. Regardless, Squawkabilly held its own because our team controlled damage with both Chilling Water and Reflect. And when you think about that and the teamwork involved, you could replace a lot of Pokemon with Squawkabilly for even better results. Although if you play by yourself, you don't get to experience the greatness that is Squawkabilly. But you do get NPCs that get to spam Intimidate for you, which I guess if we're being honest, you probably wouldn't have won without them. But anyways, if you need help with Blaziken or any future 7-star raids, feel free to swing by my Twitch. I would love to help you out, and sometimes we do fun builds. Anyways, this Squawkabilly build was really simple and really fun, and I probably could have spent more time calculating EVs or maybe doing a better held item or maybe trying a different move that wasn't Mimic. I think the point here is Squawkabilly didn't faint, didn't let down the team, did a couple things that ended up supporting the team, and even though it wasn't an optimal pick, it still shows that a lot of Pokemon can do these 7-star raids or 6-star raids and be fine as long as you understand the mechanics of what's happening, not only against the raid boss, but the Pokemon standing next to you. So there you go. There's your very simple video about Squawkabilly and about how a lot of Pokemon can work in raids. And it's fun. And, you know, video games should be fun. And I had fun building the Squawkabilly, and I had fun making this video to show that, hey, silly Pokemon can still do useful stuff even if they have bad stats or a bad move pool. They can still probably do something. Anyways, if you need help anytime with raids, feel free to swing by my Twitch. But hopefully this video gave you a little bit of a better understanding of how Pokemon can be used in team settings, because once you understand that, you can really build some wild stuff on your own too. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.